I got back about an hour ago from my bakery run and picked up these buckets here this morning. These are smaller buckets, and you'll find that different bakeries have different size buckets. You can usually tell on the bottom, it'll usually tell you the size of the bucket here. And this one here says that's a 2-gallon bucket. This here is a 4-gallon bucket. And this one here is a 5-gallon bucket. The good news is that you can use these 4-gallon and 5-gallon buckets in the same off-grid self-watering container gardening system. So after cleaning these out, these had frosting in them. I cleaned them out and let them dry out, and now I'm getting them ready to use in the garden. Let me just tell you, I went through a lot of stores to find these buckets. The ones that I found that have buckets and are willing to give them to you are the large grocery stores. Just go to their bakery departments and the donut shops. Now, I also went to some Chinese restaurants and Mexican restaurants, but it takes quite a while for them to empty a 5-gallon bucket of soy sauce. So frosting goes on donuts and cakes and all kinds of things, and so they go through these buckets pretty quickly. Not sure what I'm going to use these for, but they would also work well in the system, and I would probably just kind of keep these all in one system by themselves and adjust the drain hole. But I'll talk about that in another video once I have enough of those. Okay, so here I have some net cups. I'll have a link below for these net cups. These are really good quality net cups, and you get 20 of them for like $8, so they're like 40 cents each. Pretty good deal. What I did is I sacrificed one of the net cups so I'd know what size hole to make. I don't want to necessarily go out and have to buy a drill bit for every time I want to make a hole. So what I did is I simply got some kitchen scissors, cut the lip off of this, took a Sharpie, drew a circle, and then took my jigsaw and made sure that I cut inside the circle, leaving the circle there. And so when I got done, I put my knit cup in there, and it fits absolutely perfectly. And when I put this inside of another bucket, like this, it fits great. So 4-gallon and 5-gallon buckets mixed together will work very well together. As you can see, I already have my air holes here for the roots, and so now I'm ready to mix some soil and start putting some things together. So now that I've got this bucket ready with the air holes and the net cup hole there, again that's a 3-inch net cup. Now I'm ready to get this bucket ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to my existing off-grid self-watering container gardening system. So I'm going to add a hole here on the side, put in a grommet, and then cut 1/2-inch tubing to the length that I want it to be, so that I only have to have one float bucket that regulates the water height. I'll go ahead and get to work on that, on this bucket and the other buckets I'm putting in today. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm using 4-gallon buckets today and also 5-gallon buckets today. And the reason is I'm using both is because I'm planting root crops today, because it's the fall, and I'm going to be planting radishes, which don't need an entire size of a 5-gallon bucket. So I'm going to put them in a 4-gallon bucket, save a little bit of soil, but I'm going to put those in the 4-gallon. I'm going to put my cauliflower, that may go in a 5-gallon bucket. I've got some more different variety of radishes here. And then my carrots, I plan on my carrots taking up quite a bit of space, so I am going to put the carrots in a 5-gallon bucket and hope that they grow as long as that bucket is deep. We'll find out. So you can mix 4 and 5-gallon buckets together very easily without any problem. The water level will be fine. You can use the same net cuts and you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and start some drilling. Okay, I've got my holes drilled and grommets put in. Took just a couple minutes, went really fast. But I want to show you how I put these grommets in. It's quite easy. Now you've got to get the plastic right in this ridge here. So what I do is I just simply start here on the top of the outside hole and work it around, making sure that it doesn't go inside. And then I'm going to show you how to get it so that it lines up properly in the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the outside, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'll do this as best as I can with holding the camera in one hand. Okay, so you can see the outside. The lip is not stuck anywhere underneath the plastic, but you can see it's not perfectly around. When it's not perfectly around, to me that means it's not where it should be in the inside. And I don't know if you can see this, but this lip right here is not sticking out properly. So all I do is I push against the outside. Let's see if I can do this. And I push against the outside. You can see it pops right over the plastic and lines up perfectly. So that's how I do it. It goes in very quick and easy, and I'm up to the next part of the project. I should also say I don't use any soap or anything to make it slippery. It just goes right in without any problems. Okay, I'm done with all my drilling and attaching. I've got my 3 short buckets and my 2 tall buckets. I'm adding to an existing off-grid self-watering container gardening system where we've got some grapes and a tomato plant. After I got this set up, I went in the house, had lunch, came out, and that gave the time for the water to level here. I've got my seed packets out here. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my dirt, but here I've got a 60-day radish. I've got an 85-day cauliflower. I think the cauliflower needs more dirt, so I'll give it in a bigger bucket. Over here I have a carrot that grows up to 18 inches long, so I put it in a big bucket here. That'll be ready in 65 days. Here I have a 70-day carrot. It's purple, so that should be interesting. And then here I've got my 24-day 2-inch round radishes. As you can see, I just added the piping to each of the buckets, and I came to the end. I just got a 90-degree connector and just connected to the next bucket. I'll do the same thing. At the end of the bucket here, I already have it ready for the next bucket. I just took some electrical tape, tape that off, and so it doesn't leak, but it's ready to go for the next one. So as I add new buckets, I'll just continue the row, and then at the other end, do the same 90-degree. So it'll be kind of like a zigzag with 3 rows of buckets here. So now it's time to put the soil in and plant the seeds. Here's my mix of growing medium from last year. I dried it out and put it in a bag so I can use it again. You can use this medium forever. You just need to add more nutrients to it each season. So what I've done here, I've got my Microlife, which is organic fertilizer. It's really great stuff. I put a cup of that and a cup of azomite, which is minerals, into my mix here. This is 5 gallons. So I simply scoop this out, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, put it in my wheelbarrow, add the Microlife and azomite, add water, mix it up, and then I just put it in my buckets. Then I'll plant my seeds or plant my plants. I tested the pH. pH is over 7, so I'm not going to add any lime to it, which I did originally when I first made this last year. Okay, the buckets are ready to have the seeds put into them. I did decide to add my African blue basil, which I got as a cutting from another plant, and I potted it in a small pot. It's growing very well, so I decided to add it to its own bucket. Unfortunately, I ran out of grommets, which is fine. I'll just go ahead and water it from the top. If there's too much water in there, it'll just come out the side right here, so I don't ever have to worry about overwatering it. I also, when I water through the tree mulch, it'll compost and add more nutrients to the soil. And because the mulch is on here, I don't have to worry about knocking the dirt around or the dirt getting hard. This will keep the dirt nice and loose and allow me to water evenly all the way around through the top until I get another grommet and get this hooked up to the system. So now I'm going to go ahead and plant the seeds. All the seeds are planted, and my wife was kind enough to use her great handwriting and make these little signs for me indicating what's in the buckets and the harvest date. So we just took the number of days till harvest and just added it up on the calendar. That way I know when they're ready to harvest. These are spring and fall plants, and since it's the last day of August, I'm going to go ahead and put a sunscreen over them just to help kind of keep the heat off a little bit. The plants are all tucked in underneath their sunscreen. Hopefully they'll help keep them cool. I'll come out and spray with a hand spray and water the top of the soil every day or a couple times during the day just to keep the soil moist, because it is outside. It'll dry out much faster, and those seeds are only 1/4 of an inch below the top of the soil. So anyway, project completed. I need to clean up a little bit, but other than that, I'm happy with it. We'll check back in a few days and see how our plants are going. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if you are prepared, you shall not fear. Also, if you want to have a fall garden with a great harvest, think about what you want to plant right now. Find out from your local master gardener if they have a planting calendar and see what can be planted for fall harvest.